From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Less than 24 hours after being told schools would close early on Friday, the plans of Tasmanian parents and carers have been thrown into disarray yet again. Public schools will now remain open, with the government backflipping to deliver a long-awaited offer to union members.
Scrambling to rearrange plans, some parents unaware about a last-minute move to keep school gates open.
Got a message in the morning saying that it is still there, but I didn't get the update.
Planned strike action was set to see children collected earlier on Friday afternoon, but an 11th-hour agreement between the AEU and the government means teachers will no longer walk off the job.
The strike action will be not going ahead, it'll be put on hold because finally after 18 months the government has put something on the table.
Coming as a relief for many Tasmanians.
I was going to do after school care and just get that, so it just means I get to save a bit more money.
I think it's good to keep the routine, but so long as we've got notice, I think it's good.
You need to be prepared and you don't know is it going to go or not, so it's a bit disruptive I think for both parties.
In a statement, the Education Minister thanked families and students for their patience, pointing to a fair and affordable pay rise combined with additional support roles and more help for new teachers.
Is it going to be a magic panacea? No, but it's a start to actually demonstrate to the workforce that there are workload issues, that they do require in-class support.
Negotiations between the government and union executives to reach an agreement were ongoing as late as 12:30 today, when a resolution was finally brought to the table.
We acknowledge that there'll be people in the community angry and disappointed about the change of plans.
As for the kids, a normal day in the classroom awaits.
I just love school. I think it's good.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
A new report has revealed the large number of Tasmanians falling behind on their power bills as rising costs bear down on households. Data from the Tasmanian Economic Regulator shows over 19,000 people are struggling to make their payments. The Shadow Energy Minister pushing for relief to be implemented as soon as possible.
The impact of this is immense as families struggle with rising interest rates, increasing rents, petrol prices, groceries, all of these things are going up. Inflation in Tasmania is now at the highest level since 1987.
The state government's current budget allocated around $13 million to the winter bill buster payment for more than 90,000 concession card holders. One of Tasmania's senior health figures is stepping down after 2.5 years in the top job. Our reporter, Brianna Boylan, joins us live from the studio. And Brianna, the news has only just broken.
That's right, Kim. It's been announced that Ambulance Tasmania's Chief Executive Joe Acker will be leaving the role as of May 26 to return home to Canada. The Health Department has described him as an exceptional leader, commending his efforts in expanding and modernising services on the front line. Mr Acker was behind a number of leading initiatives, including the Culture Improvement Action Plan. He says he is proud of the progress the organisation has made in his time. Current Acting Chief Executive Jordan Emery will remain in the role as the hunt for a permanent replacement begins. The state's Health and Community Services Union has responded to Mr Acker's departure, describing it as a loss for the organisation while thanking him for his work, going on to say whoever steps into the position will have a massive job ahead of them to deal with staffing issues and increased demand on the system. Kim.
A Tasmanian organisation which provides crucial support to pregnant women is being forced to close its doors due to a lack of volunteers. Concerns are now growing. Some of the state's most vulnerable will be left behind as a result.
They're the women providing a dedicated lifeline to expectant mothers in crisis.
Emotional support being the biggest thing, so that kind of one-off counselling, also ongoing support as well, and help in the home for people who have, come home with a baby and they may be struggling.
But these vital resources are set to disappear. Multiple vacancies have forced Pregnancy Counselling and Support Tasmania to make the difficult decision to cease operations on June 30.
And we did have a very big push in the last 18 months to try and increase that, to no avail. So that's the biggest struggle.
forced to face the downfalls of a volunteer crisis.
It's not very, good that there's less volunteers, and I think it would be very helpful if there were more, especially younger volunteers.
The service is currently free, making accessibility easy for all women, no matter their circumstances.
Especially with relationships, domestic violence, homelessness, these are things that women who are pregnant they're struggling with on a daily basis.
With fears they'll now have no other place to turn to for support.
Now there's going to be a gap. There are other services out there who do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but we're the one-stop shop for both pregnancy and pregnancy loss.
But the state government is confident other organisations will be there when Tasmanian women need them most.
Services such as Panda, we have family planning, we also have Women's Health Tasmania, and of course women can always go straight to their GP as that first point of contact.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, a man in his 20s remains in a critical condition in the Launceston General Hospital following a serious crash on the East Tamar Highway at Rochelle yesterday. A passenger, also a man in his 20s, sustained minor injuries. Police are investigating the crash, saying speed and road conditions may be contributing factors. And police are looking for a person of interest within the Greater Hobart area. Officers say a white Toyota Ute was reported stolen from the Randalls Bay area this afternoon, with sightings in Margate, Taroona, Sandy Bay and Newtown. The vehicle has a number plate D79YD. Anyone with information is urged to contact police. Around 10 clients are searching for answers and their money after the disappearance of a Tasmanian home building company. Limelight Studios has stopped returning calls since promising granny flats and taking deposits of more than $50,000.
This plot of land at Orielton should be home to Kylie Eastley and her parents. But a year after signing a contract, there's no building.
Yeah, it's pretty much where we're standing, facing due north.
They found a builder on Facebook called Limelight Studios and paid nearly $75,000. But the build was apparently struck by constant delays. Then the company just stopped returning her calls.
And that's everything. That's more money than they will ever have the opportunity to make back.
Posting her experience to Facebook before finding out she's not the only one in this situation, flooded with messages from others waiting for a Limelight Studios home.
She only just discovered it from my post. She's paid $60,000 and just asked me what I know.
Limelight Studios and 3 other businesses are registered to Daniel Bradshaw. He didn't respond to repeated requests for comment by 7 Tasmania News. 2 former subcontractors say multiple tradesmen have been left high and dry as well. One of them said there are at least 10 homes with deposits yet to be delivered. Potentially $500,000 disappearing.
I mean, this is just such a tragedy for those families. We really encourage anyone that's been affected by an event like this to contact CBOS.
The state government is progressing stronger protections for home builders. A draft bill is open for consultation until the end of this month.
We really do support the government bringing in these changes finally to provide more consumer protection for Tasmanians. However, it's long overdue.
In the meantime, more buyers like Kylie are searching for a life raft, with a plea from the man hiding from the limelight.
Make it right.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Fighting against gender disparity. That's how many Tasmanian women marked International Women's Day. Workers were seen taking a stand against the pay gap, while the Iranian community paid tribute to those still fighting for basic human rights.
Arrested by morality police last year for violating strict Islamic dress code, 22-year-old Iranian woman Mahsa Amini became another devastating example of gender disparity.
She returned out of the custody with severe brain injury. However, the police claimed that she had a heart attack. A few hours later, she was announced brain dead.
Mahsa's death being highlighted on International Women's Day in a tree planting ceremony signifying resistance and liberty.
We thought, what better thing to do on International Women's Day than recognise that there are still so many parts of the world where the struggle for women's freedom and women's equality continues.
We're not allowed to wear what we want. we're not allowed to become judges because, you know, we are considered emotionally labile.
Unions Tasmania also using today to fight gender inequality, rallying against the pay gap.
We want equal pay, not another cupcake day.
In some industries, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. It's not small bickies. Pay secrecy is one of the biggest factors that increases the amount of gender pay gap. And when we have a 19% gender pay gap in the finance sector, any way that we can reduce that is incredibly important.
Meanwhile, events up north were a little lighter. The Clifford Craig Foundation celebrating women making a difference in medicine.
Women do really struggle. Whether it's the expectations to return to work right after having a baby, you know, just simple things like having your pumping brakes filled in with patients. So that's the whole idea of the bubble, is to change that.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Surreal community will now benefit from integrated emergency services with the opening of a new hub. Police, fire and the State Emergency Service will all be under one hub at Surreal, with a permanent SES presence in the town for the first time.
There's nothing better than having all the parties in the room together, working together, and that flow of information off, and that can be the hardest thing to do in major emergencies.
The police are moving from a very, very old facility, very old, to something where it's modern, state-of-the-art equipment.
Around 50 volunteers will also work out of the $12 million hub. Community groups are calling for more to be done to help a growing number of Tasmanians living in poverty. Charities say they're seeing an alarming increase in the number of women over the age of 55 reaching out for help.
While Tasmania celebrates International Women's Day, charities are sounding the alarm. A growing number of women forced to reach out for help.
A lot of women that do present may be mental health issues, domestic violence issues, inadequate housing.
The St Vincent de Paul Society is lending a helping hand with finances, food, hygiene items, warm clothes and crucial emotional support.
The demand is certainly growing. Going back pre-COVID, we weren't seeing quite as many women that were faced in this position.
And it's a problem that's not slowing down. Anglicare Australia say women over the age of 55 are the fastest growing group of people experiencing homelessness.
A lot of women will sleep in caravan parks long term, stay with friends for months at a time, sleep in their cars, anything to avoid going out onto the street.
The charity is calling on the federal government to construct 500,000 social and affordable homes across the country.
Between the Second World War up until the 80s, 1 in 4 homes that used to be built in Australia was actually built by the government.
Older single women are more likely to work part-time, have fewer assets and have less superannuation to rely on. With less than 3% of Tasmania's available rental properties affordable for someone on the aged pension.
Social housing is really the best way to give older women that stability that they need in that phase of their life.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
This year's Glover Prize Hangers' Choice Award is a fitting selection for International Women's Day, putting powerful political figures on display. The final touches on the Evandale exhibit are in full swing ahead of the prestigious Art Prize, which is set to be announced later this week.
A celebration of strong women splashed across a canvas.
There were a lot of oohs and ahs and oh, I like that. So I think this year the hangers have been really impressed with what has been chosen.
Victorian David Dish's detailed masterpiece, this year's Hangers' Choice. The painting making a powerful political statement.
The painting has got Pussy Riot in the front of it, so that's that Russian punk band that has made some quite important political statements and have been imprisoned for their political statements. Also features Jackie Lambie, Bridget Archer and Grace Tame, 3 tough, courageous Tassie girls.
The selection process described as difficult, with more than 700 entries to sift through, selecting a small number of finalists.
42 is a special number, and it's a strong field this year. We've got 4 previous winners.
Unwrapping the paintings was really quite exhilarating in a way, because you just don't know what to expect. They're such a diverse range as well, with the traditional landscapes and quite a lot of very interesting abstracts.
Showcasing the state's spectacular scenery from the Tasman Peninsula to Maria Island.
You have three prizes: the judges, who are experts in art, the packers, who handle it, and the people who observe it.
The Glover Art Prize chosen by the experts will be announced in Avondale this Friday before the People's Choice awarded on Sunday, with art lovers hanging on the final touches. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
After 18 months sidelined with an injured back, fast bowler Billy Stanlake has finally taken to the field in Tigers colours for the first time. He finished with 1 for 25 in what was a productive day for Tasmania's second 11. They dismissed Victoria for 216, leaving the Tigers with a 186-run buffer. Tasmania is 2 for 56 in the second innings. Lauderdale young gun Priya Bowring will mix it in the midfield for the Tassie Devils, while Brooke Barwick is sidelined with an ACL injury. There's some of the magnets being moved by new coach Jodie Clifford, who's revealed a 43-person squad for the Devils girls team. She'll be drawing on the map's history to inspire her players.
Knowing that there's so many women before them that haven't had that opportunity to be able to do what they're doing really pushes them to be the best they can.
Their first test will be against GWS in just over a week in what's now called the Coates Talent League, formerly the NAB League. Burnie's college basketball star Trey Armstrong has come off the bench to hit a game-high 23 points for California Baptist University. The coastal prodigy made his biggest mark with a three-pointer to stop their rivals' momentum.
3 for Trey Armstrong. He buries it.
Oh my God, timely 3.
His side won by 7. On the other side of America, fellow Tasmanian Rain Smith helped Charleston College win its local conference's championship. He hit 20 points in yesterday's semi-final before following up with 7 in today's decider.
Good evening. Cooler conditions overnight and into the day with an autumn cold snap sweeping across the state. Hobart dropping to 6 before reaching 16, Launceston down to 7, Devonport reached 18, 17 in Burnie. Counting that, Wellington, the state's lowest temperature at -2. Friendly Beaches the top at 19. King Island, Wynyard and Flinders Island all 17. 16 for Lowhead Grove and Bushy Park. Strawn 15 and Lioini reached 8 degrees. A field of cold and unstable cloud moved over the state today with the first snowfall since summer recorded early this morning. Further out, a low-level cloud covers the southern parts of the country, directed by some cold onshore winds, and a low-pressure system over Western Queensland is pushing some cloud over the far northeast. Another day of westerlies over the state tomorrow, although slightly weaker now that that high centre has moved into the bite. A low will remain over northern Queensland. Westerly winds of 20 to 30 knots, reaching up to 35 about the southeast in the morning. There's a gale wind warning for the southeast coast and a strong wind warning for remaining waters. A possible shower for Hobart tomorrow, Cygnet and New Norfolk a shower or 2 and 18. Partly cloudy across the north, Launceston and Devonport 20, 18 in Campbelltown. A possible shower in 18 for Burnie, showers in Strawn 19 for Smithton. St Helens 21, partly cloudy for Swansea and Fingal. And tomorrow's UV will sit at 7s across the state. Showers about the west, far south and Bass Strait Islands on Friday, fine elsewhere. More showers for the west and far south on Saturday. And Sunday, showers for the northeast, south and west, fine elsewhere after some possible morning fog. Partly cloudy in Adelaide and Melbourne tomorrow, Sydney 28, a shower or 2 for Brisbane, Alice Springs and Darwin both 30. Right now in Hobart it's 12, Launceston 13, windy in Devonport also 13. And Kim, I'm refusing to get that puffer jacket out for at least another month.
And I'm with you on that one. Thank you so much, Victoria. Well, as we heard, it was a cool night across much of the state, but spare a thought for those in the Central Highlands who were feeling especially frosty when they woke this morning. These spectacular pictures were taken at the Great Lake Hotel, showing how the iconic venue was blanketed by powder as the icy blast hit the state. It's only the start of autumn, but the hotel will have plenty of reasons to get the fire going as the season changes. Does look beautiful, but that is all your news for now. We'll have updates throughout the evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. See you later.